Welcome to First Tuesdays at the Metro Archives. My name is Drew Mahan. I'm kind of the photograph, map, land use history expert here at the Archives. And I'd just like to remind you all that we have some other upcoming First Tuesday events. They're always at 12:30 here in the Commons Room on the third floor of the Nashville Public Library. December 6th, we have David McCardell speaking as a first-person portrayal of Andrew Jackson. And then January 3rd, we have Rauken Wagner giving a speech on the images of rail, his new book, Nashville Streetcars and Interurban Railway. So if you like streetcars and things of that nature, that'd be a fun one to show up to. Today, I'm going to introduce our speaker. She is the executive director of the Cumberland River Compact, Miss Mekayle Houghton.
Great. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Mekayle Houghton. I'm executive director of the Cumberland River Compact. I have been in this position for 2.5 years. Prior to that, I worked with the Compact on their project in Metro. The Cumberland River Compact is Metro Water's nonprofit partner on the consent decree to deal with combined sewer overflows. So I'm sort of a city infrastructure, plumbing infrastructure, sewer infrastructure nerd. So if we want to talk about that at the end, I'd be happy to. But we'll start out with very old history of the Cumberland River Compact. And first, to get an orientation of what a watershed is. The Cumberland River Compact, the mission is to improve water quality in the Cumberland River Basin. So our building blocks are watersheds. So a watershed is, this is a diagram of a watershed. And you can see that if a water falls in a bowl-shaped landform, that's a watershed, and watersheds are nesting geographic formations. So in blue, you see the Cumberland River watershed. In brown below it, you see the Tennessee River watershed. So all rain that falls in the 18,000 square mile Cumberland River Basin drains eventually to the Cumberland River. So if our mission is to improve water quality in the Cumberland River Basin, that means we're dealing with 18,000 square miles. So this is the Ohio River Basin. The Tennessee and the Cumberland River Basin are nested within the Ohio River Basin, which then is nested in the Mississippi River Basin. The Mississippi River drains to the Gulf of Mexico, and a lot of the issues in the Gulf of Mexico are the result of land use in this highlighted mass. So you can see the Gulf of Mexico is sort of the outlet, receives all of the drainage from the farming industry in the United States. So Iowa, everything, all of that red, Missouri River Basin, all of that drains to the Gulf of Mexico. So this is our small building block of the Mississippi River Basin. The Cumberland River Basin is 18,000 square miles. The Cumberland River starts in Harlan, Kentucky. It flows into Tennessee, and then back into Kentucky and empties into the Ohio River around Paducah. The river itself is about 700 miles long. 40% is in Kentucky, 60% is in Tennessee. It remains free-flowing until Wolf Hill Dam. So you can see it's rugged territory. Upstream, Cumberland Falls, the Moonbow. Has anybody ever seen the Moonbow? It's one of 2 places, I think, in the world where you can see a rainbow at night created by the moon. So this is a diagram from the Corps of Engineers of the dams. And you can see that the dams we hear talked about frequently. Some are in-channel dams. Wolf Creek Dam is an in-channel dam. Cordell Hull, Old Hickory, and Cheatham are in the main stem of the Cumberland River Basin.
Are those relative sizes?
Yes.
So the Wolf's Dam is that much bigger?
Yes, that's a huge dam. It's a huge dam. So essentially what we have here in Nashville, the reason when you drive down the highway and it says Cheatham Reservoir is because our river is a reservoir created by the dams. So there's no free flow in the Cumberland River once you get to past Wolf Creek. So the Cumberland River Compact was inspired by this man, Vic Scoggin, and a swim that he made in 1996. He started in Harlan, Kentucky, and swam the entire length of the Cumberland River. He had 65 days off, and he thought that if he swam about 11 miles a day on his vacation, that he could swim the whole length of the Cumberland River. And he had some people who would notify the media in advance of his swimming through the town. And so the media would come out and they would ask him, why was he swimming the Cumberland River? And he would say, look around, this is a gorgeous river and we've trashed it. And so he did this day after day after day and spoke to the media and filmed his swim and succeeded in raising awareness for both the beauty of the Cumberland River and its imperiled condition. So then he came to Nashville and he was swimming through the Nashville riverfront, and a man named Bill Forrester was at the Nashville riverfront filming and saw Vic Scoggin and engaged in a conversation with Vic Scoggin. And this was, as I said, 1996. Bill Forrester told some folks, organized a meeting at the First Amendment Center, and that was the birth of the Cumberland River Compact. So we were founded with two real important principles. One was that we were non-confrontational and that we would partner with the business community, the government, other nonprofits, and local citizens. And the second principle was that we wouldn't reinvent the wheel, so we would always seek to find programming that was inventive and bring new solutions to our challenges to folks. So our mission that these founders created was to enhance the health and enjoyment of the Cumberland River and its tributaries through education, collaboration, and action. And the name, as you all have noticed, alludes to the Cumberland Compact. So, and that is intended to harken back to this non-confrontational, voluntary participation in solutions to clean water. I'm going to toggle to another slideshow. One second. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the downtown Nashville, where we're currently headquartered in the old Nabrico building. So this is the building that has been remodeled on the Nashville riverfront, and this is Arthur Dwyer's building. Nashville Bridge Company was a longtime resident. In this area of Nashville's downtown riverfront, the steel fabrication company built the Nashville Arcade, the Vanderbilt Stadium, Nashville Auditorium. This is a shot of, it's called the Bridge Building now, and this is a shot you can see to your right, the skids where the boats were pushed into the water. And this is an overview. 1947, and you'll note that the Titans now play there, but at this time it was a very industrial riverfront, so barges were made. The bridge across Lake Pontchartrain, all of these structures were made at that site in Nashville's downtown riverfront. These World War II, I believe many of these were Pacific Theater boats, barges were built there. And you can see this photo again on your right. You can see the skids down which the barges were pushed. I don't know if any of you remember watching the barges plunge into the water like that. So apparently the time used to be posted downtown, and folks would gather on the west bank of the river and watch these barges push into the water. And then in the 1990s, Governor Bredesen brought the Titans to Nashville, and that began our downtown riverfront's revitalization. And then in the early 2000s, Nashville brought George Hargraves and Associates to town to reimagine our downtown riverfront. It was a brownfield at the time. The soil was contaminated, paved over, and this park was the first stage of the downtown riverfront revitalization. Have you all ever been to this park? Yeah, it's a beautiful park. The trees are now very much bigger. It's a very lush park. It's a splash park, so it's full of kids enjoying the water and fountains during the summer. And you can see from the photo that the old gantry cranes were left intact. And the Ghost Ballet, the red sculpture, was built sort of intertwined with the gantry cranes from its industrial days. There's the park. And the flood of 2000 came, and the Nebrico building was flooded. It's in the floodplain, so soon after the construction began. And the building itself is owned by MDHA, the local housing authority. So they paid for the core and shell revitalization of the building. That portion of the building received LEED Platinum certification. So LEED is an environmental certification for buildings. Platinum is, of course, the highest. And the score of the bridge building is the highest in the world. So the core and shell of that building are the most environmentally friendly on the LEED point scale in the world. And then once the core and shell were built, then a private developer leased the building from MDHA, and he rehabilitated the inside of the building. Now the tenants are Event Space, Southern Environmental Law Center, Hastings Architecture, and the Cumberland River Compact is on the 3rd floor. And that's what the building looks like now. And we're right next to the bridge of Arthur Dyer when he was a boy on the bicycle is now, has been renamed the John Siegenthaler Bridge, pedestrian bridge. We've been in the space for 3.5 years. There's the Ghost Ballet. You can see the gantry cranes kind of entwined in there. Let's see. So this is a map, an early map from 1794 of Nashville's founding, and this became a tool with which the Cumberland River Compact launched what we call a signers campaign. So the original Cumberland Compact had 255 signers, and as we came out of the recession in 2010, we began to look back at the history of the region and the importance of the river, and found a lot of a lot of connection with our city's vitality and the river. And our reason for being there, of course, is the river. So the gold star shows Nashville. These flatboats are how people got here. Actually, you all know this. Coming down the Tennessee, the women and children with the Donaldson Party, down the Tennessee, and then poling on these flatboats up the Cumberland. So, and the men with the Robertson Party came across land. And there they are meeting. Okay, so here we are back in Nashville. And when they came with their flatboats, this is pretty much what they saw as far as waterways. This is an outline of Davidson County. I'll point out that the one section that was different is the middle section where you see no streams, and that is where the streams have been encapsulated. So you can follow the topographical lines and see where this French Lick and or Salt Lick and those streams were. But more or less, these are the streams that those original settlers found. And we believe that the river is, this ample supply of fresh water and good soil is one of the greatest assets that Nashville has. This is White's Creek watershed. This is the Richland Creek watershed. This is Browns Creek watershed, Mill Creek watershed. You all know that there's a federally endangered species that lives in Mill Creek called the Mill Creek crayfish. And the biologists are also very excited that they're finding healthy populations of the streamside salamander in Mill Creek. So even amongst all the development that Nashville's seeing, we still have some very rare species surviving in our urban streams. This is the Stones River watershed. All of these watersheds drain into the Cumberland River. Nashville has about 11 watersheds that are enclosed within the city, and then others that cross over into other sections. And that white area in the map is the combined sewer. So that's where the streams used to be, and after the cholera breakout, those streams were encapsulated, so they are no longer free-flowing above ground. They're still flowing underground. Okay, so here we are with Nashville's streams. And if you were to ask yourself what's clean, which of these are clean, this is what we're left with. So White's Creek is still clean. The Cumberland River flows through Nashville for 55 miles. 50 of those miles are clean, which means they're fishable and swimmable. 5 miles of the Cumberland River are still impaired. And this is when we say that they're not clean, it's a government Clean Water Act definition of clean from the EPA. So all of these red streams are impaired or polluted streams. So this is our to-do list for Nashville. We need the Cumberland River Compact, as we seek to improve water quality, looks at this map and says, okay, what do we need to do? How can we get to work on this? When Scott Potter became head of Metro Water, he stated a goal of cleaning all of these streams. The red streams are on a list called the 303D list, and so it became a policy goal to remove streams from the 303D list and to clean these streams. And it was a goal that was reiterated by the city in a number of different places. So head of Metro Water, the open space plan, the Green Ribbon Committee that was convened by Carl Dean all said, we want to clean these streams. In 2013, the organizations Cumberland River Compact, Nature Conservancy, Metro Water, and the mayor's office convened to try to figure out how to do this. It's a really complicated problem because the Clean Water Act was passed in 1972, and all the straight pipe pollution that was flowing from factories into our waterways was like a spigot and it was turned off. So what we have now polluting our streams is it's called non-point source pollution, and it's the pollution that comes from everywhere. It comes from the parking lot, it comes from our yards, it comes from the streets, a lot from the streets. So it's pollution that's transported to the water by rain. And you can imagine as our city becomes more paved over, there are fewer places for that water and the pollution in that water to sink into the ground. So our work is challenging. Another impairment to our streams are all of the low-head dams that are in our region. So this is a map of Richland Creek, and on the official registration, Richland Creek had one dam. We walked it with volunteers and found 13 dams in Richland Creek. So dams, they lower water quality because the water behind it gets stagnant, loses oxygen, grows algae, and prevents the fish and macroinvertebrates from moving up and downstream. So we found 13 dams. In the Cumberland Basin, there are about 2,300 registered dams. That's a problem because we have we have 2 endangered species in Nashville. We have so many rare species in the headwaters of the Cumberland River. This region is the 3rd most biodiverse inland region in the world. So this inland region is behind the Amazon and the Mekong Delta in biodiversity. So we have a lot to protect. And when I talk about what we're doing in Nashville, you can extrapolate it to that whole 18,000 square mile basin. So connectivity is a big priority for us, and getting these dams out so that the species can move up and down so that they have more habitat and the water has oxygen in it. So this is the Richland Creek Dam. If you ever walk the Richland Creek Greenway, you might have noticed this dam. It was created in the 70s so that a pool would exist for irrigation of the golf course. Well, technology has improved, and they don't need this big pool to irrigate the golf course. So we took out the dam. The golf course still pulls water from Richland Creek to irrigate. And now the stream looks like this. So you can see that pool the water is so still. And the water gets warm, it gets stagnant, it loses oxygen, and it's not good for the fish. And then, by the afternoon, we take out the dam and there's that riffle in there with all the oxygen mixing into the water. So dam removal is a very kind of instant gratification for us because we get riffles in the streams by afternoon. This is a map, again, of Richland Creek. And this map, the more intense the hue of the little drainage basin, the more pollution it's contributing to Richland Creek. So this is for sediment. Sediment is dirt that washes into the stream or sloughs off the side of the banks. So sediment is considered a major impairment in our waters, and the reason is because when the water slows and the sediment drops, there's not that cobblestone habitat for macroinvertebrates to live, and then you really mess up the whole food chain. So this is for sediment. And the map for Richland Creek looks the same for chemical pollution to, like nutrients and pathogens are the other two pollutants that we modeled. And the edge of Richland Creek, the Green Hills, the Nations are contributing a lot of the pollution to Richland Creek. And so we began a project, a demonstration project, to say our goal is to clean the streams. If you think back to the map with all the red streams, our goal is to create healthy streams. We know that the problem is all the pollution that's washing into the streams when it rains. So we need to create more space in our city that captures stormwater and sinks it into the ground, because that's what cleans the water. So we worked with consultants who could model exactly how many gallons of stormwater we needed to capture and sink into the ground in order to clean Sugar Tree Creek. And Sugar Tree Creek is the creek that runs in front of the Green Hills YMCA. So this is Sugar Tree Creek, the blue line in this slide, and each of these dots represents a place that water will be captured and will sink into the ground. And that can be a rain garden, or trees, or it's called a bioswale, which is really a long rain garden, and it's just an opportunity for water to sink into the ground. So this is an example in green. Oh, the other piece of this is to take up pavement and replace the pavement with either pervious pavement, which, have you all seen the pervious pavement around town? It has the big cobblestones, and the water just sinks in between, big gravel. The water sinks in between the voids in the gravel. Or take up pavement and replace, that's not necessary, and replace it with a garden. So we call it depave, and this would be a depave opportunity in Green Hills. You can see that you could easily get some sunken rain gardens in there to capture a lot of the water that's running off that pavement. When 1 inch of rain falls in Nashville, we get about 9 billion gallons it equals about 9 billion gallons. And as Paul Sloan says, if it falls on Warner Park, it's great. If it falls on, the shopping center parking lot, that's not so great, because then it's just washing into the stream with all the pollution. So the key is to create more spaces for the water to sink into the ground. This is an interesting case because this channel that you see is paved, and the solution is to peel up that cement so that the water has contact with the ground. And if the water has contact with the ground, then it will sink in. So at least some of it will sink in. And so because it doesn't have contact with the ground, it's going, probably from that driveway, from the street, into that storm drain, down that paved channel straight to the stream. And so all that water hitting the stream so quickly also erodes the banks. And bank erosion it's a pollutant, as I just described, and it also causes property loss as people who live on the stream bank, see their bank sloughing away. This was pointed out as an opportunity to plant trees. One tree can capture about 300 gallons of water for each rain. So you can see if we could get just a line of mature trees, we dramatically reduce the stormwater that hits the street. And if we can figure out a way to work with NES so that we have a canopy arching over the street, all the better. This is how we do our...
That's a tree trimming service.
Yeah, it's sculptural. And this is how we do all our work. All of those dots on the map, will be done with either willing landowners who do it themselves or hire landscape contractors, or we mobilize volunteers. So over the past couple of weekends, we've worked with MBA to build a rain garden right by Sugar Tree Creek. And this is at Croft Middle School. It's the environmental middle school in Nashville, and we built rain gardens all over, big rain gardens all over that school. And these are the just pictures of the trees that we plant. We like to plant the bigger trees because obviously the canopy is more robust and it will capture more stormwater. I'm saying more and more now that the most important thing, in addition to keeping our clean streams clean, is to save the existing trees because it takes so long. We are happy to plant trees, and we plant thousands of trees a year, but to replace an existing tree takes about 20 years. So it's important that we look out for the trees that we have already. Again, we use lots of volunteers planting trees. And I'll talk a little bit about our Green Alley project. And this is just to give you an idea of once a stream is polluted and we have to capture stormwater to clean it, how many people have to participate? And the answer is a lot. So we worked in the nation's neighborhood to build rain gardens along their alleyways, and we called it the Green Alley Project. And we worked through the neighborhood association. And Hands on Nashville provided volunteers. We were able to provide the plants for free, consultations to homeowners, and build these rain gardens in the alley. We calculate that every rain garden can capture about 42,000 gallons of water a year. So we had 100 participants in this program in the nation. So now every year we're cleaning an additional 4 million gallons of water in the nations before it hits Richland Creek.
Did you take out the pavement?
No, ma'am, it's the strip between the pavement and the, usually there's a fence there. And so we just build a bowl-shaped garden that the water flows into and sinks into the ground. And the thing that makes it a rain garden is that it's bowl-shaped, so water flows into it and is held there. And our rain gardens are designed for the water to sink into the ground within 24 hours so that they're not perceived as mosquito habitat. And you'll see Metro Stormwater, beginning in January of this year, Metro Stormwater required that new properties capture the first inch of water that falls on that property. So you'll see many more rain gardens in town, and they're just these bowl-shaped gardens that are usually planted with perennial flowers and native grasses and shrubs. Some are lined with gravel. The public's parking lot has gravel lined. I've seen some that have, and they do that for weed control and maintenance. They don't have to be lined with gravel. When we build them, we put pine straw mulch in there. Of course, weed control is the main concern. So I saw one the other day that had the weed fabric lining it. So, you know, the water still percolates into the ground, but the weeds can't come up.
Is that material very, I'm thinking they have a bell garden right now. We have a huge Bermuda grass problem. And we, at our last board meeting, were considering that material that is little teeny-weeny holes, and the weeds, the Bermuda grass can't come back up. How successful is is that? Are you familiar with your?
I think that it's probably very successful. You know, people use plastic. Sometimes we advise people.
You want to avoid the plastic, we're still trying to be organic.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's successful. You know, I use newspaper and then the newspaper disintegrates, but Bermuda grass is tough.
Yeah.
And I would think of your organic options, that's probably the best option. Yeah. This Green Alley project was, it was really popular, and you know, the only difference was we put the rain gardens in the alleys and gave it a name. But it was featured, it won an award, it was a national award. It was featured in Governing Magazine, which is a magazine that municipal governments, very popular among municipal governments. And the idea of taking alleys and activating them and beautifying them drew a lot of attention. And then we were doubling as a stormwater mitigation project too. So we just received funding to add 2 more neighborhoods to this project. So, so that will happen in 2017. That we'll begin in 2 more neighborhoods, and one of the neighborhoods will be the sort of Germantown, Salemtown neighborhood, which is in the combined sewer. So that's another interesting kind of addition to it. I will end with telling you that I brought our annual report, if anybody's interested in seeing what we did last year. And I brought these maps that map water quality in Nashville and describe what the impairments are, so that our goal is that we provide information to folks and also the tools for them to take action to improve water quality. We're 10 people in the office, so we work really hard, but we also try to provide the tools for people to take initiative themselves. And I'll just end by saying that the Cumberland River supports 2.5 million people. Our bodies are 60% water, and even, you know, if we drink a Coke, it's bottled at the plant on Craighead, which uses city water. If we drink a Starbucks, it's made with city water. So we are all very dependent on the abundance and the cleanliness of the Cumberland River. So, does anybody have any questions?
Tell us more about what's required to get a LEED certification.
Oh, sure. Let's see. Well, I can tell you that some of the things that allowed the bridge building to reach its high score are our windows. We have a lot of natural light. Our windows open. We are very multimodal, so we're by the Music City Star. We are by bike paths. We're by the Greenway, so that also gives us a higher score. We're geothermal, so so the heating and cooling is sustainable. We reuse water captured on the rooftop for irrigation. And then we have the timers on, you know, just little things. Like we have the timers on the lights and the heating and cooling system. So if nobody's in the building, they automatically shut off. Those are among.
But the actual structure itself isn't affected. So technically any building could go for LEED certification, or is it the asbestos and all those kind of things considered?
Oh yeah, you know, it's a scoring system, so you get positive points for reuse of a building. And then there are requirements that you have the low VOC paint once you get the building, and that you reuse materials or use sustainably harvested wood, things like that. I doubt that I would think that if you have asbestos in your building, you would have to do the whole remediation of that.
I have a question in that over on Old Harding, I believe it is, they're building some condos, and I noticed that out in one area there, they buried these huge pipes or whatever, and it looks like some kind of a runoff gathering facility. Is that something that's new and required now by new construction, or you know what I'm talking
Harding
about?
and what's the crossroad?
What's the
Bellevue.
Right at the railroad track,
And
right across from the Shell station.
In
And diagonal
Bellevue.
from city limits.
Oh,
It's right next to the cemetery in Bellevue too, beside the Mitchell House.
okay. And they're building new condominiums, and there are pipes?
Yeah, they've put some huge, it appears to be about 36-inch diameter pipes, and they're putting about 5 of them side by side. The bottom of the trench is probably 8 feet below the surface. And it seems, since they're, how large would you say that area is? Is it?
That area is 8.9 acres.
9 acres.
And it's, and they're building maybe like 76 homes,
Yeah.
condos, but they're building
Uh-huh.
vertical. But
Yeah.
what I understood from Sherry Wiener was that that's going to go underneath Bellevue Road and go over towards the railroad and hit another sewer, the main sewer line. But it used to be like 8-inch pipes, and now they're going to, it's going to be a main.
These are about 5
Yeah.
pipes, and I'd say 36-inch.
At least 36 or 48 inches.
I don't think they're to carry.
No.
And since they're paving over or housing over almost that entire area, it looks like they're trying to capture the rainwater and let it seep into the ground. I mean,
I don't know the specific answer to your question, but I'd be happy to look into it. And we find ourselves, as Nashville is coming under such rapid development, a lot of times people will call us with concerns, and we're happy to take those phone calls and to act as a sort of liaison with the metro departments.
Why don't
Excuse
we
me.
contact Sherry Wiener first, see what she knows?
I think they're doing a good thing, you know.
Yeah, and then, because we're trying to get another historical marker
Yeah.
out there behind the city limits on the east side of the railroad, because that's the original Bellevue. We're trying to get that historical marker sign.
Good luck getting the text.
I did want to point out that on the Metro Planning website, there are some really great GIS maps that you can teach yourself to use if you poke around. And one is Development Tracker, and it flags all the properties in Metro that have permits, building permits, and then you can click on those permits and read about, what's being built there, what's been permitted. So there are other maps on there that there's an inundation map that shows where, what sections of the city were flooded during 2010. So Metro Planning GIS is it's interesting if you care to explore it.
You have, I assume that on the internet there are plans for the rock garden, it's called?
Rain garden,
Rain
uh-huh,
garden,
yeah.
sorry, rain garden. And I guess there are plans out there for the rain gardens if you would, can an individual say you want to do it in your yard? You just do it in your yard?
Yeah. Yeah, we have, it's actually, it won an award. It's from the Tennessee Association of Landscape Architects, and it's a publication we did with Metro Water. And you can download it, and it has the templates for the rain garden and instructions on how to build it. And then the Cumberland River Compact can help you figure out, you call our office and we can help you figure out where to put that in your yard and provide you with the plants, free plants to do that. So we try to reduce the barriers to trying things, whether it's with people who live in the city or with farmers, by reducing the cost and encouraging kind of early adapters to have low risk, so then your neighbors can see your beautiful rain garden and then they'll build it themselves.
We have a pretty good Richland Creek, well, I've already lost it while I was reading.
The Richland Creek Watershed Alliance.
Watershed organization that cleans up Richland Creek. Is that common throughout the other watersheds?
No, it's not. In the city, the streams the size of Richland Creek don't have. Whites Creek has a Friends of Whites Creek. Mill Creek has a one that's starting up, but Richland Creek Watershed Alliance has the most developed and active, and that very local leadership that you all have is what benefits these streams the most. Really focused attention and advocacy on behalf of the stream. It's important, and so I think that definitely Richland Creek Watershed Alliance is a model within the city for stream advocacy.
Yeah, they still have litigation pending because of the floodplain.
That's right. Great. Well, if you all are interested in exploring more, our website, we just redid our website, cumberlandrivercompact.org. There's a tool on there called iCreek where you can type in your address and it will tell you what's your nearest stream, if it's clean or polluted, what it's polluted with, and what actions you can take to improve water quality in your stream. So, thank you very much.